What's up, tribe? How you guys doing? Go ahead and hit that subscribe button. I hope you like this video. Well, this is a new show alert, okay? We are here talking about Grown and Gospel Season 1, Episode 1. I wasn't sure if I was going to review it, but you know what I got to do. I watched the first episode, and I was like, okay, I feel like this is something I can talk about, right? It's on WeTV. It's probably like 10 episodes, because, you know, that's how we usually start, you know, with a new season of a show. So, let's talk about it. So the show takes place in Detroit, Michigan, which is sort of a mecca of gospel music. Now, I'm not a gospel music connoisseur. I'm gonna just go ahead and tell you, y'all know I grew up Catholic, okay? But we have the Winans are out of Detroit, I believe. We have the Clark sisters, which are they're in Detroit. We have Fred Hammond from Detroit. I believe Marvin Sapp is from like outside of Detroit. But it's a lot of gospel greats, royalty that are either out of Detroit or at some point in time were in Detroit. And so it's sort of a growing up hip hop gospel is what it really is. And they do have some heavy hitters. We have a Clark sister, a daughter of a Clark sister. We have a daughter of someone out of Witness, from the gospel group Witness. We have a daughter of a son of commissioned, and then we have the son of a very well known reverend. Okay, so we have. I should have just said their names, child. When we start this episode off, I'm gonna get to everybody as we go through. That's how they kind of introduced everybody, and then I'll go through who's who and what's what. So we have Elijah Comer, who is a PK. His grandmother or his mother was a Reverend Doctor. Did I write it down? Ooh, I ain't write his grandmama name down. I guess I ain't write it down. Janie Carter. And if you guys don't know who he is, you know him by face. He is the meme. He is the famous meme, the guy that stared down Diddy, that had the blonde hair and the black beard, and it was like that whole stare down thing they did. Immediately I saw him, and I was like, okay, I know who this guy is. I mean, I don't know anything about him because I didn't watch that show. I just remember the meme and remember the whole moment. And so we meet him. He does R&B music, and we see that he's going to be on a radio show, a radio station later on today. He's on his social media telling his people to, tune in or whatever. He was like, listen, I didn't do gospel because I'm sexual. I like sex. I like talking about sex. I like singing about sex, and that wasn't my lane. Later on in the episode, we see him down at the radio station with Bushman, and he's promoting his music. Now, he said he's never actually had a full feature album, but he's dropped a lot of singles. He said, maybe it is time for me to drop an album, but right now he is pushing his single called, I wrote it in my notes, honey. I wrote it in my notes. He's Rebellious. So the song is called Rebellious, that he is he's promoting at this time. And so that's who we meet first, right? Then we meet Nikki or Nicole Cole Breach. Now, her mother is Dorinda Clark from the Clark sisters, and she says, listen, I was rebellious. I grew up rebelling against all that I was raised to be. I ran the streets. I got into drugs. I had a bunch of tattoos. I messed with bad boys. I did all of the above. She said, but, now I'm older, and I realize now that I sort of regret some of the decisions that I made, but I'm definitely older and mature, and I respect it. She actually is the tour manager for the Clark sisters at this time, so she's working, but she's living with her mother. She said, since my with everything with my husband. So I was like, dang, because I don't know these people, y'all. I was like, did her husband die? Child, her husband is in jail. Now, they don't say what he in jail for, but he was sentenced to 7 years, but he's in year 5, so he's probably coming home soon. I mean, I don't know if that's Fed time or if that's regular time, but, I mean, he been in there for 5, he had 7, he probably looking to be home pretty soon. Now, I don't know what his charges are. I suspect some things, but I'm not going to say it out loud until I Google it for myself and find out what that man went to jail for. But let's just, by the time we get to this end of this episode, I got some questions. I have some questions about her husband, what he in jail for, and what is going on with our justice system the jail system today. Okay, we see her talking to her mom, and then they're just kind of shooting the breeze kind of thing. You know how they do these introductory type shows where we kind of get to know them. We see her and her mom have a really good relationship. And the one thing she said was, my mother never threw me away. She said, as rebellious as I was, as out in those streets as I was, my mother never threw me away. And it's because of that we have such a close relationship now, and I love her, all the more. So later on, we see her mother talking to her husband, and this when we find out. I had a little more questions because the husband said, because I said, well, he's not dead. Because she talking to the husband, and he said, her 40th birthday is coming up, and I wouldn't let that pass. I know she mad because I can't be there. So then I was thinking, oh, he on the road. This before I found out he was in jail. I said, oh, he on the road. Oh, he has a job that travels. Maybe he works for a gospel artist or something like that. And I said, okay, he on the road, whatever. He said, so I'm gonna send you some money. I want you to get a venue and blah 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 blah. And I was like, oh, that is so sweet. Now, mind you, I said to send you the money part because I was a little confused at it after I found out he was in jail. Now again, I don't really know nobody in jail, so I don't know what the current status of jail is these days. But I know when I have friends in jail, people in jail, I sent them money. I don't remember nobody in jail sending me money. I don't never remember that happening. And then I was thinking, okay, what are you really sending to a Clark sister? What you sending her about $50, $60 for you putting in on the cake? You're going to send her a few dollars, you're going to put in on the punch and chips and stuff. That's what I was thinking, because I said, he got a little job down to the commissary. Okay, down to the jail. He's sending, maybe he could send her $100, $50, $100. He been there for 5 years, so maybe he got a little money built up. But I still don't understand how this reverse situation works. I ain't never seen nobody from jail send nobody no money. But I said, okay, it's new. I don't know these things. I don't hang out at the jail. I don't know, okay? But again, when we get to the party, I got more questions. Now, then we meet Bree Hammond. Her father is Fred Hammond. Now, I love me some Fred Hammond. I absolutely love me some Fred Hammond. But I got some questions. So, we meet her mom and her brother Darius. She said her brother was adopted when he was 5 months, and they all grew up together, and she's moving back to Detroit to try to make her dream a reality. But we find out that she is married, and she said Nebraska, then she said Kansas later on in the episode, but I don't know exactly where she's living these days, because she said, well, there's really no music scene in Nebraska. But then she said something when she was talking to the people later on, and she said something about Kansas. So again, I don't know where she's from, where she's currently living, but I do know that she said that her husband really isn't as supportive, because he kind of thought that she was going to be the traditional barefoot and pregnant type situation, and that's not what it is. She told us that, she grew up, her parents were together until she was 16, and at 16 years old, her parents got divorced, and she said basically everything ended. Like, the bottom dropped out. She said, my mother was working as a pharmacy tech for like $12 an hour, and I saw her struggle, and before that she was basically working for my father being self-employed, and I'm thinking to myself, I got questions, and I'm not, listen, I don't know Fred Hammond. I know I like Fred Hammond, I like his music, but I don't know that man from a hole in the wall. So are you saying that once, at you being 16 years old and how old your brother was, that once Fred Hammond left the marriage, y'all was destitute? Or like, I ain't gonna say destitute, but y'all weren't really living comfortably? Because again, I know gospel music isn't, I know some people, but Fred Hammond, I think was okay. I ain't gonna say he was rich, but I feel like he was okay, that he was, maybe paying some alimony or some child support, or I don't know. And I'm saying all this because Bree sort of has a reputation, as we find out as we go deeper, as sort of complaining a lot, making a lot of excuses, and she mentions a lot about how she struggled and what her father wasn't there for, and but we find out that their relationship is strained, and I think it's more to that story. Why is the relationship strained? What happened? Did he walk away from y'all, or there's more to it? And I know we're only in episode 1, so I shouldn't have all of the answers now. But I do find it interesting because now a baby girl is renting a room, sleeping on the air mattress, trying to become a gospel star, right? We do find out later on in the episode that she has sung on some of at least one single with her dad. And I get the impression that her father at one point in time did try to help her. Don't know what the status, what happened with that, because again, people can tell these stories and then you hear the other side of the story and realize, it's more to this story that we're not getting. I feel like it's more to the Fred Hammond hasn't been a supportive father story. I think it's more to that story that we're not getting. But anyway, so then, excuse me, y'all. So then we have this very cringy, for lack of a better word, scene with Nicole or Nikki and her husband on the phone. Now, we see her with the laptop out. We see rose petals. We see strawberries. And then we see her on the phone accepting a phone call from her husband. That's when I realized he was in jail. And then she went on to say, he was in jail, and blah, 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 blah. So my question is this. Was that phone call just for our purposes, and then after the cameras left, you got on a video call with him? Because y'all are married, so maybe there is like a video zooming for married couples where maybe they can, see each other and stuff. Like because what I didn't understand was why the rose petals and the strawberries if he can't see none of this. Like, this was totally a set up scene for our purposes. Girl, why do you have strawberries and rose petals on the bed? Because she's describing to him what she has on, which tells me this not no video call. Why are you describing your outfit? And she said, it's kind of hard for them to have sexy time because the kids are living there and they don't have no privacy and this, and this. But I'm still confused why you had strawberries and the rose petals. He can't see none of that. But okay. Again, unless after the cameras, she had whipped cream and everything. Unless after the cameras left, y'all did actually have an actual call. But moving on, child, it's a reality show, honey. We just gonna. Okay, child. All right. So next we see. Lily. Oh, child, I'm on the wrong note. I was like, Lily's sister. Child, that's from last night. SWV. Child, I was like, Lily's sister. Okay. So next we meet Jay Brooks and Bree. They meet up. Now, Jay Brooks is the son of a commission star. They never said his daddy name, I don't think. Pardon my ignorance. I know Fred Hammond and never would have made it. I don't know. So, but Jay Brooks seems to have created his own path in the world of gospel. And the thing is this, all of these kids grew up together, but grew up in the same circle, the gospel circle, but they did not grow up together. But Jay Brooks and Bree are friends, and then Tasha, who we're going to meet later on, they did grow up like friends. Now, Elijah and Nikki were a little bit younger than them, and so they knew each other, they knew of each other, they've been around each other, but they weren't friends. They even, I think, later on in the episode, I think Nikki even said that Elijah and Bree dated at one point in time. So they definitely have a history. So they're meeting up, and Bree is letting him know, look, I'm back in town. I'm trying to make it happen. I need to make it happen. I need, I'm on a career clock. You know what I'm saying? My biological clock is ticking as it relates to me becoming the singer that I want to be. She said, when people ask me what kind of music I do, I tell them I do life music. It's not gospel, but it's not R&B. It's kind of sort of just, it's that life music. Now, I don't know if that's like neo soul. I'm not really sure. She said, but I do need to figure it out. Like, now's the time for me to figure out what I'm going to do, how I'm going to make that look. I need to do this. I need to do that. And here's what I'm not sure how, because in this scene, I was kind of feeling Jay Brooks. But then at the end of the episode, I was feeling like he's a little shady and a little sneaky. And we're going to get to that in a second. So, I say all that to say, he was talking like, well, you making excuses. And she was like, no, I'm not making excuses because I have to do this and I have to do that. He was like, but you making excuses. She was like, but I have to do da-da-da. He said, you're making excuses. He said, listen, we grew up in the studio. We grew up seeing how it's done. We grew up seeing the process of creating a record. She was like, yeah, Studio A. He was like, yeah, Studio A. And we saw everybody come through Studio A. We saw Mary J. Blige. We saw Jay-Z. We saw all the gospel greats. He said, but here's the thing. Nowadays, you don't need all of that. You don't need thousands and thousands of dollars. You can literally get on a mic in a corner and create a song. Upload it and put your music out. He said, but you have to put the same amount of work into doing music that you put into your 9 to 5. You know, he said, you need to be writing like a song a day. Like, you really need to be putting in the work. Now, part of me feels like, is he being a little too hard on her? But again, I had to remember, he knows her. And he's probably the closest to her out of this whole little friend group. And so I feel like if he can pull her coattail and call her out, I feel like it's based on history and it's based on what they've been through. Like, that's my opinion. And with that being said, she does make a lot of excuses, but again, I don't know enough of her story to know if they're excuses or reasons, because sometimes it's a reason, right? Now, he did allude to her having a past. He ain't get into it, but he did allude to, you know, he's not sure how people are going to accept her with her past. So I don't know what this past is. I don't know what she has or hasn't done. I'm not sure what that is. But again, I'm sure we gonna find out. Okay. Then we see where Jay Brooks calls the crew together. We meet Tasha Page Lockhart, whose mother was in the group. Witness, she was on Sunday's Finest, or Sunday's Best. It was Sunday's Best. Elijah and Nikki Cole. So he calls the crew together. He says, listen, Bree's back in town. She's trying to make a run at this music thing, but she's going to need some help. He was like, she's going to need some music. She's going to need some little styling, you know, assistance. Like, basically, I need y'all to help me get her together. I want to help her out. He said, but you know, I still feel like she might be making some excuses, and I'm still not quite sure if she's figured it all out, but I do want to help her out. So, you know, and I felt hesitancy. I don't know why, and I don't know what. Again, there's history there. There's stuff there that we don't know yet. So I'm not sure what the hesitancy is. I'm not sure what Bree has or hasn't done. Or where her reputation, because again, like Elijah was like, I don't really know her like that. I know of her. So I don't know if there's a reputation level in all of this, but there was some hesitancy there. There definitely was some hesitancy there. So the final scene is Nikki's birthday party. It's at a really nice venue. It's, you know, got the sit-down catered meal. And Elijah is there, and I mean, of course, the Clark sisters, the other sister, Karen, and her husband, who is the bishop of the whole Kojic, he's there. And so, you know, it's people in the bill, you know, it's VIPs all up and through. And what I find interesting was a couple of things. The first thing I find interesting is Jay Brooks is sitting there and he was like, yeah, I invited Bree, but I ain't tell nobody I invited Bree. How you not? I don't like that. I don't like that setup stuff. So you have this girl walking into a situation, somebody's birthday party that looks like it's I need you to RSVP because I need to know how many people are going to be here type. It's a sit-down dinner birthday party, and you didn't tell nobody she was coming. Second of all, it's a surprise party. So Nikki don't even know about the party, and you just inviting plus ones to this girl's party. So when Bree gets there, immediately people are shading her. You got, and I know this one of my pet peeves. Don't tell me to my face I look cute or my outfit is cool, and then the minute I walk away, you dogging it. So Tasha is in her confessional talking about, ooh, Bree is here, and I'm unimpressed. I mean, her outfit was giving very, you know, very down home, very plain Jane, very, I forgot what she said, child. But then when Bree walks in, oh, girl, you look great. I don't like that. You ain't have to I don't know why people feel obligated to give a compliment. You could say, hey, girl, hey, how you doing? Oh my gosh, it's been so long since I've seen you. Welcome back. Like, you didn't have to compliment her if you wasn't feeling it. Then Elijah comes in with a woman child. Elijah's a lot. But he talking about something. Oh my gosh, what's going on with the hair? It's looking unkempt. It's looking low self-esteem. So Bree's hair is cut in like a short afro, natural afro, and it's blonde. What is low self-esteem about that? And then when Nikki gets after Nikki gets surprised up, Nikki and Tasha giggling about her head, talking about some. I mean, I call it CNC. It's a cut and color. Again, where's the read? Like, I'm not understanding what y'all hating on. I think her hair's cute. Anyway, so they are dogging her the whole night, talking about she act like she got low self-esteem. She's acting like she's a fish out of water. She seems like she's not comfortable. And maybe she's not. She literally walked into a situation where she wasn't invited to. She's around people that she hasn't seen in I don't know how many years. And clearly there is something about her past that we're not privy to yet, but clearly y'all are. So I'm sure all of that is on her mind as she's in this room with gospel royalty. On top of that, we know that she doesn't have the best relationship with her father, and everybody is asking her about her damn daddy as soon as they find out who she is, because at first they didn't know who she was. But as soon as they find out who she is, everybody is asking her about her daddy. Like, I don't know, I'm feeling for Bree now. Maybe by the end of the season I'm gonna feel a little different, but I'm kind of feeling for Bree right now. So we did have a little scene with Dorinda, Jackie, and Nikki, where they were basically talking about Bree and how Bree, needs to talk to her father, because whatever happened with the two of them, a lot of times people don't see that God is preparing you, and even though your father is, a gospel great, nepotism doesn't always get you everywhere, and maybe he can make a few phone calls, but you got to be ready, and maybe she's not ready yet, and she may not understand why, her father's not moving the way she wants him to move, because maybe he sees something she don't see. All of that's valid. So that's why I had to remember to go back and do it. The other part of this whole party situation was everybody is giving her husband all of these great props. Oh my gosh, he holding it down. Look at what he's doing. He's a boss. He had this whole birthday party from jail for her. He made sure he did it up for her 40th birthday. Oh my God. Like, everybody is giving this man kudos, and I am confused as hell. First of all, he paid for all of that from jail. He paid for a private venue, a sit-down catered event, the decoration. He paid for all that from jail. What job he got in jail? I need to know what job he has in jail. Second of all, he called like 3-4 times while they were there. And then for her birthday, he upgraded her wedding ring. I need to know what job this man has in jail. Sir. Anyway, that was pretty much the first episode. I feel like, we left off at the party. The party ain't over yet. And so we'll, see what we pick up next week. But it's alright. It's WeTV. So, WeTV going to give you the shenanigans. But we're going to see what it is. I'll talk to y'all later. Peace.